Midadal Talmon, first encounter. Student of the engineering at the University of Canberra, she is as well versed in the secrets of modern and fallen technology as any scholar in the twins and means to put that knowledge to use in the service of the hideaway. Sid's daughter. Daughter of Sid and student of engineering at the University of Canberra from a young age, Miss showed the same passion for invention as her father, and even greater aptitude. She is as well versed in the secrets of modern and fallen technology as any scholar in the twins and means to put that knowledge to use in the service of the hideaway. As captain, daughter of Sid, raised in the hideaway, Mid learned all she could of engineering and invention from her father before leaving for university to learn all she couldn't. Her studies all but complete, she put her skills and knowledge to use in the building of the Enterprise, a Mythal engine powered vessel of her and her father's design, which she captains in the service of Clive's cause. Her dream of flight, adoptive daughter of Sid, who saved her from the street as a girl and raised her as his own, and, ri- and rise her and raise her as his own he did. The young Mid, following in her father's footsteps and perfecting his design for the Mythal engine, though she fears the completed engine might be used for ill or the designs were to fall into the wrong hands. The dream of flight that she and her father shared is too great to see consigned to the dustbin of history, and she continues to labor that one day that dream might become reality. Hippocrates II Hyperboros. First encounter. The Hideaway's resident historian, whose love for the books has earned him the nickname Tomes, Hippocrates traveled to Valentia as a youth, seeking to unearth the secrets of his land of legend, and over the years has developed a deep knowledge of Vastinian geography, history, religion, and folklore. At the new Hideaway, the Hideaway's resident historian, after Sid's death and the destruction of his home, he joined Clive at the new Hideaway, establishing a grand library within the walls of the fallen, ruin from whence he continues to share his knowledge with any who will listen. He has taken the orphan twins Tet and Crow as his apprentices, though they have yet to prove the most attentive audience. As imperial tutor, the Hideaway's resident historian, before meeting Sid and moving in with his band of outlaws, Hippocrates dwelled in much grander surroundings, the imperial palace where he served as a tutor to Prince Dion. He bears a deep and lingering affection for his former charge, and on reuniting with Dion in the Hideaway, presented him with the gift of a wild, vibrant tale, that he might be reminded of the goodness within him and not punish himself unduly. Vivian Ninetales, a scholar and strategist who makes her home in the Hideaway, analyzing every shred of information that comes in from the wider world in order to divine the disposition of the realm's armies and those who lead them. She offers her insight to Clive, that he might better understand the lay of the land. Monica Ninetales, of which she herself is fond, was gifted her by her fellow scholars in recognition of her ability to speak at length on almost any subject. At the Hideaway, a scholar and strategist who makes her home in the Hideaway, offering her insights to Clive that he might better understand the lay of the land. Once a professor at the University of Canberra, her dogged pursuit of the truth under the enmity of some of her less scrupulous colleagues, after learning of a plot on her life, she fled to the Hideaway, has been slowly but surely warming to her new surroundings ever since. Gute, Otto's loyal lackey, tasked not only with keeping the ledgers, but with reading and sorting the measured reports that enter the Hideaway and arranging assistance for those in need. Born a bearer, Gatu was kept as a slave to an overflamed tavern whose keeper would beat him bloody. After being thrown out onto the city streets as punishment for a minor mistake, it was his fortune to be found by Otto, who took him back to the Hideaway. Desiree, Scribe and secretary for the hideaway, Desiree is also entrusted with keeping of all the donations to the cause for Clive's allies and patrons. Though she could neither read nor write when first she came to the hideaway, Desiree labored night and day to learn her letters and know the quill is never far from her hand. Her ever cheerful demeanor is a bright light to those who make their homes atop the blackened mirror. Maeve, landlady of the Tub and Crown, the hideaway's much-loved alehouse. Though she was born in Rosaria, her enslavement as a bearer saw her transported to Sembrec to work in its wheat fields. However, when the farmer was unhappy with the harvest and thought to make an example of her for her fellow slaves, the Cursebreaker stepped in to instead teach him the error of his ways. Kenneth, chef cook at Sid's hideaway, who lost his life on the night of Hugo Cooper's attack. He was well loved both for his ever gentle nature and the toothsome fare he concocted from the limited ingredients available in their Deadlands home. Indeed, many of Kenneth's dishes remain on the menu in Clive's new hideaway, the Taste of Home. First encounter. Chef cook at Sid's hideaway. Though the range and quantity of ingredients and on offer in their hidden Deadland home is limited at best, Kenneth finds opportunity and adversity, concocting toothsome fare from whatever happens to be at hand. Obulus, an old friend of Otto's from his merchant seaman days, now serving as a ferryman between the shores of Brenninuma and Clive's hideaway. Knowing him to be a trustworthy and tight-lipped fellow, Otto invited him to join their cause after Sid's death, that he and his trusty skiff might help them build and operate the new hideaway in the lake. Ember, a Cursebreaker in training who wishes to make himself a scout that he might follow in the footsteps of his idol Gav. Though his test did not proceed entirely smoothly, he showed enough promise to warrant being accepted into the ranks for now. August, a veteran Cursebreaker who often leads his own team of para-liberating foyers. He also shares his wisdom and experience with Cole in assembling new units and training new recruits. One of Blackthorn's few close friends, who shares the Smith's fondness for a tankard or two indeed. When August isn't on a mission, he can most often be found supping on and yell and swapping a story in the hideaway's tavern. Cole, second in command of the Cursebreakers, who assist within the coordination of their troops' liberating activities under the supervision of his captain Doris, formerly a slave soldier for the Fist of the Republic before being freed and taken in by those he now calls his brother and sisters in arms. Doris, born and branded in Rosaria, Doris now captains the Cursebreakers, directing their liberating operations in concert with Cole, her second in command. While she is fiercely committed to the cause, she harbors violence and will only bloody her blade if circumstances demand it. In the shadow of the slave trade, captain of the Cursebreakers who direct their liberating operations, Doris was raised by a Rosarian slave master who treated her branded charge as if they were her own children, teaching them how to read, write, and wield a blade before hiring out their services to the highest bidder. Though Doris resents her former master for the terrible deeds she made her do, she thanks her for making her strong, scrupulous, and the woman she is today. At Belmont Dark, captain of the Cursebreakers who directs their bearer lifting operations, she learns that Chadwick, fellow bearer and brother-in-arms who helped her escape her former master, met his untimely end in the cursed depths of the Belmont Dark. He died the same hero he was in life, having fought until the bitter end to save the life of a young bearer girl. Doris swears to keep fighting herself that his legacy might live on. Martel, a young bearer who assisted Bohel in his research into growing crops in the blighted soil of his hideaway. Alas, she was gravely wounded during Cooper's attack on their home but she was able to escape the wreckage with some of the saplings that were the fruit of their labors. She succumbed soon after. The trees were replanted in Clive's new hideaway, and the apples bore the name Martell in her memory. Molly, chief cook at Clive's hideaway, who inherited the role from Kenneth after he lost his life in Titan's attack. Molly's true passion lies in the baking of pastries and other sweetmeats, but alas, shipments of sugar to the hideaway are few and far between. Instead, she pushes the boundaries of her culinary repertoire by assisting Yavin in reviving the questionable dishes preferred by his questionable cookbook. Yavin, a freed imperial bearer, after the wounds he suffered in his escape were healed, he began a new life in the hideaway, working in the kitchen. Through this, he encountered a cookbook entitled Valesti, a culinary pilgrimage, which inspired him a passion for making mincemeat of monsters, literally. Vajrugay, Taya's youth and inexperienced assistant, a caring yet timid soul, he is committed to saving the lives of his patients and so quarrels when he asks to perform life-threatening treatments such as the removal of a bearer brand or the administration of the potent tears of Isla. While he admires Taya's indefeatable, I don't know. Infatigable, he fears for his effect on her health and is ashamed that he cannot yet do enough to relieve her burden. Owen, one of Min's assistants tasked with bringing to life her designs of a new invention that might assist the residents of the hideaway in their day-to-day lives, and one day, perhaps all the people of the twins. Nigel, the hideaway's resident botanist who researched into the medical properties of the flora of the twins and how one might go about growing specimens of interest in the middle of the blighted lake, is invaluable to Clive's cause. Ted, one of a pair of young twins who assist Hippocrates in the hideaway library, or at least are tasked to. In practice, he spends most of his time reading books and teasing tones with his sister Crow. Though their parents were both bearers, Ted was spared that burden, as last he was not spared the tragedy of losing his mother and father when Sis hideaway was laid low. Crow, one of a pair of young twins who assist Hippocrates in the hideaway library, or at least are tasked to do. In practice, she spends most of her time reading books and teasing tones with her brother Ted, born a bearer like her parents, but spared the prejudice and persecution that they were forced to suffer. Alas, she was not spared the tragedy of losing both her mother and father when Sis hideaway was laid low. Quentin, the insecurable landlord of Lost Wings Tavern. After the village was swallowed by an ether flood, Quentin, the insecurable landlord of Lost Wings Tavern and the leader of the village, hidden past. The indestructible landlord of Lost Wings Tavern and the leader of the village, once a high-ranking member of Sam Breck's judiciary, Quentin was ousted from his post and his family slain on the orders of the Lord Chief Justice. Quentin swore to bring his own brand of justice upon his nemesis' head, and it is this end that he recruits like-minded bearers to his cause. As head of the family, and the indestructible landlord of Lost Wings Tavern, though he succeeded in taking his revenge against the Lord Chief Justice who put his family to the sword, he was left bereft after the great number of his loyal comrades lost their life in the process, and Lost Wing was swallowed by an ether flood. However, with the support of his surviving Lost Wing family, he swore to see the town rebuilt. As founding member of the Trinity, the inscrutable landlord of Lost Wings Tavern, after the village was swallowed by an ether flood, he and the survivors of Lost Wings family labored to build a new village in the Grotlands Bales. However, Clive convinced him to join his uncle's Trinity and put his auditory skills to use not merely in leading Lost Wing, but in restoring order to the entire realm. Martha, landlady of the Golden Stables, the tavern at the heart of Martha's Rest. She is also a friend of Sid's cause, keeping the hideaway supplied with both victual and information on developments in Western Storm, a second string to her business that she strives to keep secret from the Imperial authorities. After reclaiming Eastpool, landlady of the Golden Stables, the tavern at the heart of Martha's Rest, the village became overcrowded after an ether flood, and Lazarus drove the guardians of the flame and the bearers they had rescued from the Black Shield raised to seek shelter there. To make space, she worked with Clive and Wade to resettle them in Eastpool, where she has been supporting them ever since. Dreaming of a better world. Landlady of the Golden Stables, the tavern at the heart of Martha's Rest, her efforts to save bearers from the bonds of thraldom began when she met Sid, and like him, she dreams of a world where bearers can live on their own terms. To this end, she nourishes the seeds of a better world that she and the Guardians of the Flame have planted in Eastpool. Bernard, a carpenter who resides at Martha's Rest, whose speed and skill, together with the surrounding marsh waters, deleterious effects on the plants and plots of the village, many bridges keep his service in high demand. A carpenter who resides at Martha's Rest, whose speed and skill, together with the surrounding marsh waters, deleterious effects on the plants and piles of the village's many bridges keep his services in high demand. He was born and reside in Cressedia, where his parents lie buried, and is recently engaged to be wed. Isabel, an ally of Sid's cause, who makes her home in Northreach. It was she who informed the hideaway of the redeployment of Sanbreque's legions following their chastening by Wulud at Belen's tour, and it is she who will secure Clive's passage through the Northern Reach checkpoint. Properties of the Vale, Northern Reach foremost house of ill-rept, and one of Sid's trusted collaborators, Isabel, is much admired by the populace for her elegance and refinement, qualities that have earned her title, the Dame. A hidden past. Properties of the Vale, Northreach foremost house and ill-rept. Before coming to Northreach, she was Clara, courtesan to the nobility in the Crystalline Dominion. However, she was forced to flee when she fell in love with the bearer. The Vale took them in, and though her love was not to survive, her gratitude to the people of Northreach lives on to this day. Renz, an orphan who lost his parents to the Ironblood's latest crusade. He fled towards Dalimil, finding a new family in Draca, a fellow orphan along the way. The two were starving by the wayside when Labor found them and took them in, aiding a new elder brother to the Patchwork family. He is a frank and forceful soul who enjoys nothing more than watching the townspeople at work and helping them with their tasks, whether they need it or not. Durica, an orphan who lost her parents to the Ironblood's most recent crusade. She fled towards Dalami, finding a new family in Renz, a fellow orphan along the way. The two were starving by the wayside when Labor found them and took them in, aiding a new elder brother to the Patchwork family. She is a kind and caring soul who enjoys nothing more than listening in on the conversations of the town people, whether they know it or not. Freda, Laber's accomplice who directs the espionage efforts of the Desert Hare's loyal minions from his home in Dalimil. Born poor and turning to banditry at young age, Freda was saved from his life of crime by the original Ruzin Dalimil, who gave him a new purpose, serving her own, somewhat less felonious endeavors. After Resident passed, he continued to serve Labor in the same capacity. Labor, an old ally of Sid's who fell out of contact with the resistance after his death. The Desert Hare spoke with Sid and Sid alone, leaving the others of the hideaway with few clues as to their true identity. Only Preston noting the name Ruzan and the memory of Sid met him in Dalmil. First encounter. Forge master of the Briar's Kiss, the finest smithy in Dalmil. Labor is also the Desert Hare, an ally of Sid's who once went by the name of Rosalind Dalimil. Unmasked, Forge master of the Briar's Kiss and the finest smithy in Dalimil, known to those in known to those in the know as the Desert Hare. From those long ears, no secret is safe. The leadership he displayed in dealing with the bandits' attacks led to his being proposed as a prime candidate to become the new mayor. But when the townspeople discovered that he was a bearer, they elected to drive him out of the town instead. As mayor, forge master of the Briar's Kiss and the finest smithy in the Dalamil and the mayor of the town. After his bearerhood was revealed, he was almost driven from Dalamil by the disapproving townspeople. However, they were convinced to change their preconceptions of Labor, led the defense of the town from a horde of Akashic bandits, and with the support of both the town guard and the Merchants Guild, he won the mayoralty. Victor, a friend of Sid's and later Clive's, who keeps an ever attentive vigil on the comings and goings in Dalmacia from his hometown of Cosnus. And Dalamil, a friend of Clive's cause who keeps an ever attentive vigil on the comings and goings in Dalmacia. After being caught up in the bandits' raids on Dalamil during an excursion to its famous markets, lending Clive and Laboy his aid in bringing the town together, Victor developed a fondness for the place, and he began making regular visits, becoming firm friends with Laboy and earning the trust of the townspeople. Felipe, first encounter. Imperial soldier of the northern garrison, whose heart pines for none other than Isabel, he leads the stand against the threats Northreach faces and impresses his fellow soldiers to do the same. Inspires. Fighting for Northreach. Former Imperial soldier of the Northreach garrison who left his spot after the Duke of Oriflame took over, he elected instead to form a new town watch that he might better protect the town and those he loves. Isabel chief among them. After leading the defense of Northreach against a throng of thralls, he reconciles with the Duke, and they pledge to combine their forces to see the town safe. Conrad, master of the Dalamil kitchens, where he serves filling yet inexpensive fare to the people of the town and the miners of Drakesfane. After his town was set upon by bandits, Conrad led the faction pushing for the recruitment of mercenaries to take bloody revenge. However, he was convinced to look instead of forming a town guard drawn from the citizens of Dalamil, of whom he became the inaugural leader. Natalia. Veteran trader of the Dalamil Marcus turned leader of his new league of merchants, the group responsible for filling and maintaining the town's collected stores. Though she loathes violence and argued vehemently against the plan to hunt down the bandits who attacked Dalamil, she is passionate about protecting the town and its people. When the bandits returned, she was the first into the fray. Eloise, owner of the Crimson Caravans, a highly esteemed porterage firm Bulklad. Eloise has a knack for business and a head for figures. She used to build her own business from the ground up into the success it has today. Her brother Savior, owner of the Crimson Caravans, a highly esteemed porterage firm in Bulklad. After her younger brother Theodore awakened as a bearer, she helped him to flee from their family home and build a new life afar from those who would see him co-signed to slavery. In mourning, owner of the Crimson Caravans, a highly esteemed porterage firm in Bulklad, eldest child and heir apparent of a successful caravan trading house, Eloise abandoned her birthright in order to save her younger brother Theodore, who her parents would have seen branded after his powers awakened. After Theodore lost his life before her eyes, she swore to continue their work to free bearers, that his death may not be in vain. Theodore, porter and guard for the Crimson Caravans, the porterage firm that he runs with his beloved sister Eloise. Embedded to Eloise. Porter and the guard for the Crimson Caravans, the porterage firm that he runs with his beloved sister Eloise. Many beasts and bandits have eyed his company's caravans, but today he has cut them all down. Theodore is also a bearer, but was spared the brand after awakening late and being spirited away from his family home by his sister, an act of kindness and self-sacrifice for which he is forever grateful. A bitter choice. Porter and the guard from the Crimson Caravan, the Porter is from that he runs with his beloved sister, Eloise. Theodore lost his life to his own blade after being attacked by an ether flood while trying to protect the haven he had built for the bears from a rampaging dragon, wishing his sister a long and happy life with his final breaths. Onza, an orphan boy of Boklad, strong-armed into pickpocketing travelers by the nefarious Cast Stones. After being released from their clutches, Eloise elected to employ him at the Crimson Caravans to keep him from returning to the life of crime. He pledges to become the first customer of Gutier's Forge when the trader became a fully fledged blacksmith. Zoltan, the feared and respected chief of the smithing town of Dravids, where he and Blackthorn learned their craft. After the master, who the two pretends under, breathed his last breath, they came to blows after the future of the town and had exchanged nary a word since. Reconciled, chief of the Dalmakian smithing town of Dravids, whose skill in etching material far eclipses Blackthorn's own. After the latter aided Zoltan in his town in overcoming the twins' threats that faced them, an absence of ether that rendered their forge useless, and so fear of it that unleashed an Akashic horde against his gates. The two were reconciled at last, each gaining a newfound admiration for each other's talents.